So you guys know I played Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. I have the full review on my Hypnotic Gaming live channel, and I really enjoyed the video game. The game had its problems for sure in the beginning when I wrote my review, talking about how buggy the game was overall and how the game kind of slowly but surely loses its content over the course of the game. And while the third act was fun towards the end, it definitely felt empty compared to the first two acts of the game. Now, the game has been highly updated over time compared to when I first played it. I've played it nearly at release. I think I was like a week behind because I was reviewing another video game at the time. But we have some stories about Tainted Grail happening right now, and it's all because of a comment from PC Gamer. Because, of course, the gaming journalists can help themselves. Now, we have an actual response from the Tainted Grail developers that we're going to go over in this video as well. And even Nightpads developers are joining in on this because people realize what this is, right? People realize, like, oh, look, it's PC Gamer basically attacking the little guy because they're trying to make sure that their access is maintained by boosting up Elder Scrolls and Bethesda, a video game developer that is known for releasing nothing but buggy fucking video games. That's what they're doing here. But regardless, this article here from PC Gamer says the following: Elder Scrolls wannabe Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon gets a huge update overhauling its weaker third act with new locations, quests, enemies, and more. Now, my thing is like, okay, I understand you hate these kind of games because these kind of games are basically games that are being made for people that actually want to play games, right? They're not being made for people that want to use the video game to make rage bait articles online or whatever the case would be. They're made for people that actually want to play video games. It's a super open-ended video game. It is not perfect by a long shot. I even recommended people to probably wait for a sale before buying this game. That way your value is truly matched. And I generally recommend that anyway. But still, the game has been updated quite a bit, and I think it is definitely worthy now more than it ever was before. But it was already worthy as it was. The music in this game is fantastic. The world exploration is top-notch. I had a lot of fun exploring the world of Tainted Grail: Fall of Avalon, and the boss fights were pretty fun, although a little bit basic. Now, that could be because I played a mage build, where I feel like a melee build probably would have been a little bit more involved, whereas a mage build, which I usually don't play, I decided to do something different in Tainted Grail. It felt a little bit easier. Once I got dual lightning, I was basically destroying everything, but still, overall, the game was pretty fun. I had a good time with it, and I think the developers have been pretty cool in terms of just reaching out to people. I've seen them interact with people over on social media as well, and I think it's been overall a pretty positive experience, and I can't recommend it enough. But the problem is that PC Gamer doesn't like games like that. PC Gamer, they like their activist video games. They like their video games where you get a couple of they-thems. I don't know if you guys are aware, but Tainted Grail doesn't even do the body type A and B nonsense in their game. They put male and female in their game from day one, which is hilarious. So again, it goes to show where the mindset of the developers are versus where everybody else is at. So the moment you have a situation where they clearly are like, well, okay, this game didn't even do something as minimal as body type A and B, well, we can't give it all the praise. They decided to talk about something positive, which should be the update to Act 3, which I'm thinking about potentially jumping into in my off time because, again, I just kind of want to see what they did. This is a positive situation. You should be talking nothing but, interesting things that are being changed with the game, but you couldn't help but throw in that little comment just because you want to be an asshole. Now, Tainted Grail ended up responding to them, which I feel like is good in a way. And they responded in the best way that they possibly could have, which was, I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. So they threw in a little bit of a Pokemon reference, obviously, and they quoted PC Gamer directly because they wanted to make sure that they saw this, right? Now, if you go to the PC Gamer comments over on social media, people obviously felting them. You got Asmongold saying there's nothing wrong with being inspired from Elder Scrolls, some of the greatest fantasy RPGs ever made. Tainted Grail is a phenomenal game. I beat it when it released, and now I'm doing the DLC. Great combat, build diversity, and world building. Everything is voice acted. I agree, 100%. I do think that the voice acting and the music is top-notch in this game. I mean, Arthur alone had probably one of the best voice actors I have seen in a long time. Fantastic work by the guy who voiced Arthur. Jay Viper says, what a pathetic headline. Tainted Grail's an excellent game and the genre is shared by Elder Scrolls. You people don't play games. And Demion says, great game. Everyone should play it. Don't listen to PC Gamer being salty. Kata says, wannabe journalists pretending people care what they have to say. Tebow says corporate journalists aren't people. Yo, I love Tebow, man. He puts out some bangers, man. What the fuck is this slanderous headline from Smash? This is exactly what Gamergate was about. Embarrassing. Can't wait for more fries in the bag. Now, it's funny that he says that because it's kind of true, right? We talk about how the games journalism is basically dying at this point. There's been a lot of replacements recently for a lot of websites for gaming journalism being replaced by AI. At this point right now, a lot of websites are being ran by one AI editor and multiple AI journalists. That's really what's going on. And at this point, the gaming journalists are trying desperately to do anything they possibly can to essentially rely on rage bait, the thing that they accuse YouTubers of doing. They rely on rage bait. They're doing it more now than they ever have before. They're doing it a lot lately. I don't know if you guys have noticed this with their articles and their stories, but they're putting out some crazy shit. I mean, you have the Resident Evil article talking about how they're essentially prepped with HIV medication and ready for Leon to plow the journalist. I mean, seriously, like they're doing whatever they can and they're desperate to keep their clicks as high as possible, because if it starts to continue to fall like it has been, even though I don't think there's any saving it, well, it's only a matter of time before the major outlets get replaced by AI as well. A lot of the smaller outlets are being affected, although Eurogamer got massive layoffs recently, and that's a pretty big outlet. It's only a matter of time before it comes for PC Gamer, before it comes for Kotaku. And keep in mind, these websites are being ran with skeleton crews as it is. They usually have about 2 to 3 journalists and maybe one editor. And that's if they're lucky. That's if they have an editor. A lot of these websites have given up their editors and are only rocking with a couple of journalists, and the rest is AI. So I'm not surprised that they're doing this. Now, even Knight's Path has joined in on this. And if you guys don't know, Knight's Path has also received a bunch of hatred by a certain group of people, all because they decided to put out a picture of a character called Amelie, I believe her name was, where it was an attractive female character who you were able to romance in the game in a straight way. And because you're able to romance her in a straight way, well, that got everybody's anger towards Knight's Path. It was really the most stupid thing in the world. And it's amazing that the people that complain all the time about the chuds supposedly making a big deal out of nothing are usually the ones to make a big deal out of nothing. But anyway, Knight's Path says, wannabe Elder Scrolls is a pretty pathetic headline. Funny how gaming journalism loves to praise every sloppy AAA release, but suddenly starts punching down when a smaller studio makes an ambitious RPG. Tainted Grail is great, unique, and well-received RPG. I agree, 100%. These people know that games like Tainted Grail is usually what some or most gamers actually are looking for. They're looking for a video game that's going to respect their time, give them a world that they can actually explore, something they could get lost in, and something that they could get a lot of hours out of. Now, I think I got like 30 or 35, 40 hours, something like that, out of Tainted Grail. And I didn't do everything, okay? I skipped probably, I would say 30% of the content, maybe a little bit more. And that was before the updates. So there's a lot of content in that game. You can easily get 60 plus hours out of it. I know some people that got over 100 hours out of Tainted Grail. And for the price, it's not bad when you think about it. The game's also been on sale multiple times, and with all the updates, and now they're overhauling completely Act 3. I think Act 3 was their biggest weakness in the entire game aside from the bugs. I know they've worked on the bugs, and now they're working on Act 3. So here's what I'll say. I can appreciate that they are remaining vigilant to the game, that they're not just releasing it and then abandoning it. I think it's great that they're sticking with it and wanting to turn it into something that's really great for their players. That's fantastic. Let's keep doing stuff like that. But the fact that they're punching down on them and trying to call them wannabe Elder Scrolls doesn't own the fucking genre, okay? At the end of the day, yeah, they were obviously influential. Everybody loves Oblivion, right? People love Skyrim. I understand that. However, those video games became loved over time as people got to not only utilize them, but also explore them because, they're hundreds of hours of video games, right? Not only that, the modding community really keeps those games going a long period of time past their lifetime. These games are loved for a reason. And to just throw Tainted Grail under the bus like that with an underhanded comment, we all know what you're doing. And they're going to pass it off like, we're just joking. You guys are taking it too serious. You guys are just making it into a big deal. You want everybody to hate us. We know that's what they're going to do. But we all know that you didn't make this in jest. We all know that PC Gamer is not joking. And they consider these games that don't do the body type A and B, that don't do little nonsense like that, they consider these games to be problematic. So they're always going to react and talk about these games in this particular way and pass it off as jokes, right? So I just want to read the article a little bit and see exactly what they had to say. I don't believe they said anything too negative about the game at all, but just the fact that they had to write it with this kind of a headline shows that they had no faith in their content otherwise. But anyway, it says that last month, the developers of Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon released that its impressive Elder Scrolls-inspired RPG will receive a major update. How do you go from Elder Scrolls wannabe to impressive Elder Scrolls-inspired RPG? Why the fuck couldn't you put that in the headline? This is what I'm talking about. Like, you guys clearly know what you're doing, but you chose to do it this way because you needed to do it this way. You could have easily said it's an impressive Elder Scrolls-inspired RPG receiving a major update that overhauls Act 3. You could have easily done that, but you're choosing not to do that. But all is clear now, if only because the Deluxe is already on the walls. Patch 1.20 for Tainted Grail arrived earlier this week, described as huge by Questline. The update seeks to improve the final act in numerous ways, while also making changes to the game at large. The additions to Tainted Grail's third act included a new area to explore, specifically a cave called Etherbloom, Love, plus 2 new mini-bosses. One of these sleepwalkers, a sort of giant tree person with a hole in his lower torso, or maybe it's just an incredibly large knot. The other is Guard, a tall, mask-wielding warrior who will try to pummel you into submission with his fists if you get too close. You know, I kind of want to, instead of reading their article and giving them the time of day, I think it's probably best if we showcase Tainted Grail and their trailer. I think that would probably be for the best. That way people can really see this game. Now, they do have their release trailer. I don't know if they released any 1.20 trailer. I think they did, actually. Yep, they did. So we're going to watch that instead. I think we could say fuck PC Gamer, and we're going to watch Tainted Grail's video instead, talking about their own patch. And that way we can make up our minds ourselves. Here we go.
A shadow has fallen over me, and we fell abandoned to the cold of death. We fought for our people, for honor, for the old ways.
The music's so good in this game. I'm telling you, it's like top notch. What the fuck is that guy?
Truth deserves to be known, even if it is born in pain.
The game has a very dark theme, by the way. It's overall got a very gothic style to it. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, I think you'll like it here. The armor, especially when you look at the armor, it's got all the typical spikes and shit. Like you'll have a great time with it. Agree with you. I think I will try this. I think I absolutely will try this. I'm very curious about it for sure. I think they're even working on a new game, if I'm not mistaken. So this company, like I said, they're not a bad company from what I can see. They genuinely care about their game and trying to make it the best game that they possibly can. The amount of updates they're putting into this game and trying to revamp a lot of the criticism that they got. Because again, my review, even though it was positive on this game, it had a lot of criticism in it, and they listened to a lot of it, and the bugs in Act 3 were some of the biggest criticism that a lot of people talked about, not just me. So the fact that they listen and they're trying to fix it, I think that's great. And I want to see more of it. So hopefully they learn from their mistakes in the past and they keep trying to make the game better for the future. So you guys let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comments down below on this video. Of course, like it, comment, all that good stuff. Otherwise, your view won't count, and I'm going to be sad about that. But yeah, go play Tainted Grail. If you have it in your backlog, play it right now. I assure you, you're going to have a good time.